Crash Course on Canadian Human Rights and Canadian Museum for Human Rights, CMHR, discuss Canada's human rights policies and laws. Canada is a country that takes human rights seriously. The Canadian government has established policies and laws to ensure that every individual living in Canada is treated with respect and dignity. In this crash course, we will discuss Canada's human rights policies and laws, and provide some interesting examples and stories that demonstrate how Canada values and protects human rights. Human rights policies and laws in Canada. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms is the cornerstone of human rights protection in Canada. It sets out the fundamental rights and freedoms that all individuals in Canada are entitled to, regardless of their race, gender, sexual orientation, or religion. The Charter protects a range of rights, including freedom of expression, freedom of religion, the right to a fair trial, and the right to equality. In addition to the Charter, Canada has established several other human rights laws and policies. The Canadian Human Rights Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, marital status, family status, genetic characteristics, and disability. The Act applies to federal government agencies, as well as businesses and organizations that fall under federal jurisdiction. The Canadian government has also established the Canadian Human Rights Commission, which is responsible for promoting and protecting human rights in Canada. The Commission investigates complaints of discrimination and provides guidance and support to individuals who have experienced discrimination. Finally, Canada is a signatory to several international human rights treaties, including the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. These treaties set out the basic human rights that all individuals are entitled to and provide a framework for protecting those rights. Examples and stories of Canada's human rights policies in action. One of the most interesting examples of Canada's commitment to human rights can be seen in the way the country has welcomed refugees and new immigrants. Canada has a long tradition of welcoming refugees, dating back to the resettlement of Vietnamese refugees in the 1970s. Today, Canada remains one of the few countries in the world that has a formal refugee resettlement program. In recent years, Canada has become increasingly welcoming to new immigrants. In 2019, Canada welcomed over 341,000 immigrants, and the government has set a goal of welcoming over 400,000 immigrants per year by 2023. Canada's immigration policies are designed to ensure that immigrants are treated fairly and have access to the same rights and opportunities as Canadian citizens. Another example of Canada's commitment to human rights can be seen in the way the country has responded to the COVID-19 pandemic. Canada has taken a science-based approach to the pandemic, with the government relying on public health experts to guide its response. The government has also provided financial support to individuals and businesses affected by the pandemic, to ensure that people can stay home and stay safe without facing financial hardship. Finally, Canada has taken steps to address historic injustices faced by Indigenous peoples. The country's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which was established in 2008, has worked to address the legacy of residential schools, which were established to assimilate Indigenous children into Canadian society. The Commission has called for a number of actions, including the adoption of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and the implementation of the Commission's 94 calls to action. The Canadian Museum for Human Rights, CMHR, is an excellent example of Canada's commitment to human rights. Located in Winnipeg, Manitoba, the CMHR is the only museum in the world dedicated solely to the topic of human rights. The museum aims to promote greater understanding and respect for human rights, and to encourage dialogue and reflection on the importance of human rights in our lives. One of the key features of the CMHR is its unique architecture. The building itself is designed to reflect the museum's focus on human rights. The museum's architecture includes elements such as a Tower of Hope, which rises above the building and symbolizes the importance of hope in the face of human rights violations, and a Garden of Contemplation, which is a peaceful outdoor space where visitors can reflect on their experience at the museum. The exhibits at the CMHR are designed to engage visitors on an emotional and intellectual level. The museum covers a wide range of human rights issues, including the right to freedom of expression, the right to education, the right to life, and the right to be free from discrimination. The exhibits use a variety of media, including interactive displays, films, and artifacts, to help visitors understand the complexities of human rights issues. One of the most powerful exhibits at the CMHR is the Holocaust Gallery. This gallery explores the persecution of Jews and other marginalized groups during the Holocaust, and includes artifacts such as a railcar used to transport Jews to concentration camps. The gallery also explores the role that bystanders played in the Holocaust, and challenges visitors to consider their own role in preventing human rights violations. Another powerful exhibit at the CMHR is the Indigenous Peoples Gallery. This gallery explores the history of Indigenous peoples in Canada, including the legacy of residential schools and the ongoing struggle for self-determination. The gallery includes artifacts such as a treaty medal given to Indigenous leaders in the 1870s, and a residential school uniform worn by a young Indigenous girl. Overall, the CMHR is an excellent example of Canada's commitment to human rights. The museum's unique architecture, powerful exhibits, and commitment to dialogue and reflection make it a must-visit destination for anyone interested in human rights. The CMHR serves as a reminder that human rights are not just abstract concepts, but are issues that affect real people every day. By promoting greater understanding and respect for human rights, the CMHR is helping to build a more just and equitable world for all. In summary, Canada is a country that values human rights and is committed to protecting them. The country has established policies and laws to ensure that every individual is treated with respect and dignity, regardless of their race, gender, sexual orientation, or religion. Canada's commitment to human rights can be seen in the way the country has welcomed refugees and new immigrants, its response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and its efforts to address historic injustices faced by Indigenous peoples. These examples and stories demonstrate that Canada is a country. We hope this video has given you a taste of all the incredible experiences Canada has to offer. If you're ready to start planning your own adventure to Canada, please ensure to use our Booking.com referral link. https://www.booking.com/index.html?8 =7989335 to book your flights, hotels, car rentals, local attractions, and more. It's an easy and kind way to support this channel and make sure you get the best possible deals on your trip. Thank you. Anhub Metaverse team at Vancouver, Canada, CA.